welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. I'm so excited to be here, finally doing some front on videos in my new room. We're still working on the backdrop, so you'll see some changes come along in future videos. But today I'm here as part of Heffy Doodle release number 3 for a wonderful blog hop with some amazing crafty girls. I'm using the new Lucky Friends set, which is a good luck St. Patrick's Day kind of set. And we're going to be making an interactive card of a leprechaun that jumps along our rainbow. It's so cute and it's really simple to do. I'm excited to show you how to make your own interactive card, so let's get started. So today I'm using the Lucky Friends stamp set from the new Heffy Doodle release. Once it's released, there's also going to be some coordinating dies that we got a preview of at Creativation. And this guy here, when you cut him out, his hands can hold this horseshoe, the gold, the beer, the coins, all these really cool things in there. So check those dies out as well. I'll make sure I link those in the description for you too. There are also some great words that go with this release. Leslie gave me this at Creativation because of the shipping time to the US, and I was super excited to use it. So check out the rest of the release. There's a really cute Easter sets in there. There's some lovely mice that I'm looking forward to getting, and some great new dies as well, including some interactive dies, and also some words are in there too that are all hand lettered by Leslie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be colouring in my pieces. Now I cut these out using my Scan and Cut because I didn't have the dies for those, but as I say, you really do want to try and get the dies because this is really cute and I'm looking forward to mine arriving. Colouring wise today, I'm using my Nuvo markers, and I have these in this wonderful Nuvo piece. It has some little feet on the bottom there. And these Nuvo pens are great value. They're alcohol-based markers, and you can buy them in colour sets. You get 3 greens, 3 yellows, 3 oranges, however you want to buy. I have them all here. I have lost one of my yellows, so I'm going to have to replace that one. But they're great. You get blenders in there, there's blacks, there's metallics, and this is just some temporary taupe. This is Tombow removable adhesive. Whenever I'm colouring something that I've pre-cut out, I just put some of that adhesive on the back there. Try a little bit more there. And you always want to colour with alcohol markers on a porous background. So this is just a piece of white printer paper that I'm going to stick these onto, and this just means that they won't move around while I'm colouring them, so that makes that so much easier. I'm going to start off by using my greens. So here you have, this is the Woodland greens. I stick some labels on the side just because I do videos and things and I want to always remember what they're called. So these are my 3 green shades. So I have a 413, a 415 and a 417 here. And so I have a light to dark, and I'm going to just work through like I would with any alcohol markers. I'm also going to be using my Supreme Metallics. This is the gold, which will go onto his hat. I've got a couple of yellows. As I say, I have lost one of my yellows here, but I'll be using the Sunshine Yellows. I've got my blenders, and then there's also a really nice fair skin tones, which are going to be perfect for his legs and his face and things in there. So I'm going to get colouring. I'll play you some nice music now, and you can see how he comes together. The next thing we want to do is build our rainbow, and I've already pre-cut from the Lawn Fawn Rainbow cardstock My Favourite Things End of the Rainbow that I had in my stash. And this is a great rainbow. There are some other rainbows out there that I really like. There's a Lawn Fawn one. I do have another My Favourite Things one. But this one was perfect. So this is what I had in my stash. So I'm going to be using this one. So the first thing we're going to do is peel off the backing layer of this double-sided adhesive. So peel that one off, and then that allows us to start assembling our rainbow, and we can then work out where we want to put it. This stuff is super, super sticky. So I don't know about you, but I always say the song in my mind. So we've got the red, we'll go first. So I'm just going to pop the red down on here, and then we'll have the yellow, we'll meet up with it. We'll have our yellow, make sure that meets up nicely. I didn't do any pink because you only get 6 slots, so I'm going to move straight onto my green. And then purple. And then orange. And now the blue. Now I've arranged these so that I'm going to give them a straight end. When you look at this, they actually come to a V, but this is going to work better for the card design that we're using. So I have my Tonic scissors. These are the Tim Holtz scissors. They're a non-stick scissor, so they work really nicely if you're using things like double-sided adhesives. And I'm going to just trim these straight across because that's how it's going to work for our pot of gold. And then I'm just going around here. Now the other thing I'm going to do, so I have some pieces left here, so I'm going to snip one at this end, and you'll see how the scissors come clean off, which is exactly what we want. So these 2 pieces are not going to go to waste. I'm going to now just lay another one on here and make sure that they all meet up. And I'm going to use the same on this one here, but I'm also, before I pat it down, I'm just going to turn it over so I can make sure they all go together nicely. So it will be a little bit forgiving. This Elizabeth Craft adhesive is super strong, but it does give you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you don't press it down, it won't stick fully until you're ready. So as I lay those in, I'll press it in, and there we have our rainbow. So I'm going to put that to the side while we now assemble that interactive element. So now we're ready to do our assembly. We have our finished rainbow here. I just trimmed that adhesive so that it's all nicely together on the back there. We also have our little pot of gold here. I've pre-cut my pieces from some Lawn Fawn dies. These are called Outside In Stitch Scarlet Rectangle Stackables, and they will be in the description below for you as well. I cut one in the white, which is going to be my inside, and then I cut one in the same, actually it's a different green, it's called Noble Fur. I thought it's a really nice St. Patrick's green, which is going to go on the outside there as well. So to do this next step, I have my pot of gold. I've actually put a little slit in there, so you can see there's a slit. And for the slit is there so that we can put our rainbow inside. And I have a piece of foam on there to give me the depth of where it's going to be. And I'm now going to align this. At the same time, I have my slide on over piece from Lawn Fawn, which is going to be our interactive element. Now there's going to be slide on over semicircles, and if you're part of the Hedgehog Hollow subscription box, the new ones are going to be in there. These are the older ones, they're slightly different. So my pot of gold is going to go somewhere in the middle bottom down here, and then our slide on over circle is going to go next to it like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab some of my Tamiya tape. This is my favourite tape for die cutting. It's a really nice low tack tape. So I'm going to put that in place first. And then the next thing I'm going to work out is I'm going to grab this back again, which is my piece here, and I'm going to just trim those little metal pieces off of there. These are my favourite little wire cutters. I'm just doing this over the bin so that they go straight in. You can also take some sanding paper and cut those off, but I find that just those little nodules are fine on there. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to position your rainbow where you want it to be, and then you're going to put this back over the top. And what you'll do is you'll feel it clicks into place. So I'm just moving mine over. So I can feel that that's not really moving. It's clicked into the same place. I'm going to work out where my rainbow wants to be, around about here. And this is where you could almost do with a couple of hands. I'm going to grab some tape so it's ready to go. Stick it on my hand there. Just feel that click back in. There we go. Put our rainbow in place. And then I'm going to stick this on here, and I'm going to run these through my Gemini machine. So I'm going to run the rainbow through on here, and I'm going to run my slide on over here. That means my rainbow is going to match up perfectly here, and my slide on over circles are going to be there for our interactive element. So if you haven't seen me use my Gemini machine before, I have the Gemini Junior, and it stays on my desk. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to turn this over. Your sandwich is actually upside down with the Gemini. So it's dies facing up. And I'm going to make sure they don't overlap, which is possible. And then what happens when you get this into the Gemini, you'll hear, I'm not pressing any buttons. I've got one hand here and the other hand's over here. It hooks it in. So it's pulling that through now. And once it comes out the other side, we're all done. So it puts a nice amount of pressure on there. So even with all that thickness and the adhesive paper on there, it's cut through so easily, which is amazing. And I'm going to just gently pull this up. Peel that tape off on the other side. Here we go. So I've got that scalloped edge, which is going to match up perfectly on my frame and those stitches. And then on this one here, we have that interactive element on there. So let's now start assembling. Pop all these pieces out the way. This is just my little cutting board that I use to cut my slit in, but I'm going to leave it here for now. So the next thing we want to do is put this the other way up, like this. We're going to put some foam on the back of this piece here, and to do that I'm going to first of all peel off the Elizabeth Craft adhesive. Try and catch an edge, there we go. Like this. So we're going to slot this through that little hole. And before I press anything down, I'm going to line it up with this corner. Like this. Press it down. I'm going to take that foam off the back of my thing. It's just my Scotch 3M tape there. And the reason I pop this up is just because otherwise it's a little bit bulky and you don't get the best adhesion. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to stick my pot of gold down. So our leprechaun is going to ride down our rainbow like this. So that's how he's going to go. So now we're ready to build our slider pieces. Now I just grabbed some coins out my drawer. I have a British 20p piece that happened to be sitting in the drawer. An American penny worked. You can use a dime. You can use 5 cents. I wouldn't use anything too big. These are a nice size. British 5p, Euro 5 cents, those kinds of things. So something around this kind of size will work perfectly. And the first thing you want to do is put your penny behind. The biggest thing is you want something that has room on either side to be underneath, because you don't want it to come through that slit. And the next thing I've got is my foam tape. So this is my big roll of tape. I have cut a piece actually into thirds. I used one on my sample to make sure it would work. And you just want to do that. I cut it with the Tonic scissors, those little ones you saw me earlier. They're non-stick, so you can just cut through it and nothing's going to get all stuck. If you use a pair of regular scissors, you may find that it gets stuck. Oh, I've dropped that piece. Here it is, my lap. So I like to do double because I just feel that extra little bit of depth. You can use the Stampin' Up things that I often use, and you'll see I've used those on a piece in a second, but I'm going to just do this double. I like having something a little bit thinner. I find that it just goes through that groove in the best way. I've played with lots of different ideas, and this by far was the easiest way to go. Like this. Now before I stick everything in place, I'm going to just peel this out, and you want to grab your powder tool. So this is the one that I use for heat embossing. If you don't have this and you just have the body, run that in there, but you want to run it on both sides. And you also want to just run it on these sides, just on the side of that adhesive. Don't get it on the top. I should really have left my piece on, but I got ahead of myself a little bit. So again, we're going to just pop that slit over. Then you want to grab your leprechaun, and I love how he came out. I think that's so cute. I may even add some glossy elements to him shortly. But the next thing we want to do is you want to work out how he's going to go. So do you want him to go on the angle up and down? You might want him to be straight up and down. I'm going to go mine on the angle because I think that looks kind of cute, like this. So you can see here I can just move this, and he is going to ride up and down. So make sure you've got enough clearance on there. If you need to alter anything, you want to be able to do that now. The next thing we're going to do is I already have, as I said to you, my green frame pre-cut, and I actually added some strips of foam onto the back of that. This is a slightly thicker foam that I have on the back. I have a card-based Neenah Solar White, just A2 size, and so I'm going to peel off these adhesive pieces. And this is slightly thicker, so it'll give me some extra dimension to my piece here. And I'm going to center this up first of all, like so. So there's that down. And now we're ready to stick our leprechaun down, but I do have a few tips for you. So you need to make sure you can still move him like this. You can see there, he moves nice and freely. But down here, you're going to want some thinner pieces of foam. So that thin extra piece of foam I had, put your penny in place, or whatever coin you're using, and stick your foam down. Then you can just go back and use regular foam pieces. I like to cut off a long piece, and anything extra I actually stick on the edge there. So we're going to stick this here. I'm going to move this up here so that I make sure plenty of room in there. We'll have a piece in the middle. Make sure it doesn't go up too high. So just move your penny around and make sure that once you've got all those foam pieces on there, there's still plenty of clearance on there. Again, I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. So I'm going to move my leprechaun all the way down. He's got stuck somewhere, his foot got stuck, but I'm going to make sure I have enough room for that piece of foam. And just for extra, I'm going to pop that up there. So once you have all these pieces, peel off your back, turn him around, and then he will fit perfectly inside of your frame, which is why we cut that rainbow. So I'm going to poke him in, and then I'm just going to use the point on these scissors just to make sure these points go in here. So I have another piece here of the Neenah Solar White that I stamped on here. And this phrase, there's some great phrases in the Heffy Doodle set. Let me just grab it here. So you've got Happy St. Patrick's Day, You're My Lucky Charm, there's clovers, you can put lucky on there, more than silver and gold. So many different ways that you can use it. It doesn't just have to be a St. Patrick's Day set at all. And whenever I use a sentiment that's a photopolymer, I pop it on my table like this. In fact, let me move it up so you can see better. And then I take my block and I pick it up. That means I'm going to get a nice straight sentiment. If I want a curved sentiment, that's great. But if you want a perfectly straight one, that's the way to go. I'm using the same Lawn Fawn Jet Black that I stamped the images out that I coloured in. This one is designed to work with alcohol markers, and it really does so nicely. Now also in this new release, you'll see that Leslie has put in these great sentiment, oops, we lost you. Well, some great sentiment dies in there. And the idea is that you, whenever we try and cut these pieces, it's really hard to try and get them straight. So she's put these dies in stitched options and just regular options. I'm really excited to get those. As I say, we didn't manage to get the dies to the US in time for this release, but they will be linked up underneath this video for you, so you can check those out. They are now here. And I'm making this card, so if you are new to the holo, welcome first of all. I'm making this card for my husband, who we refer to as Mr. Hedgehog Holo. He is going to England next week to defend his PhD, so we're hoping that when he comes back, he will be a Doctor of Engineering. and he's been doing his PhD part-time on top of his full-time job for 4 years, and we just submitted his thesis on tyre engineering. So something a little bit different, but I'm going to be sending this card with him while he goes to defend his PhD. So I'm just going round and I'm cutting this out, and you can see how fiddly that was to try and get it straight. Well, once we have Leslie's dies, that will be no more. Sign that in a second. The other thing I want to do is make it like it's raining a little bit as well. So this is the Nuvo glitter marker in gold. Let me show you how it comes out. There's going to be aqua painters in the gold like this, but I'm just going to be adding some little flecks of gold. It's got some great sparkle in it. You can also use these on black. So it looks like it's raining gold. You can see there. So let's just add a few up here for when he's down a little bit further. And I love a nice spotty background too. So you can see there how that looks. You could also add paint flicks if you wanted to, but he is going to sit in there perfectly. So I'm going to put him there. Because I don't want any extra depth, because otherwise our guy is not going to jump over our rainbow. So there we have it. Thanks so much for joining me as part of the Heffy Doodle Release 3. Don't forget to check out all the other girls on the hop. There's a blog list linked in the video description below. Plus, of course, there's a supply list there for you. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up or stamp it if you prefer. And click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you back here at Hedgehog Hollow again. Happy stamping. Bye.